What's up, everybody? KleverKrok back for another and final episode of our weekly recap for Season 4. This is This is not the final week. We are in the final week when we're recording this. This is week 12. Sorry to scare you guys. You get another week. But this week we have a special guest, Mr. Justified18 of the coach of the Zubatman. I can't talk tonight. What's up, man?
No worries. Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. So we're gonna just jump into these matches. The first match is between the New England Parasects and the Kentucky Krookodiles. As the coach of the Crocodiles, I was really concerned about a couple things. I was really concerned about the Mega Heracross because I didn't really have anything that really walled it all that well. Because yeah, Skarmory is like a good answer to it, but it doesn't always like stop it, if that makes sense. And I also kind of had the 7 Pokemon syndrome this week where I was like, I really needed to bring Honchkrow, but I couldn't because I really needed something else that had bulk. I didn't really have like reliable wall choices for his matchup. I was really concerned about the Infernape. I think that's why I was thinking the way I was thinking. And he didn't end up bringing it, which was really surprising to me. Um, so since he didn't bring it, I felt a lot more confident about my chances. I knew if I brought a bulky subpass Scolipede with some attacks like Earthquake and I think maybe Poison Jab. I honestly can't remember. But I'd be able to pass into Gardevoir and do some work. But other than that, I mean, I think as far as his advantages go, I think I was hoping that he would have Scarf Raichu again so that I could manipulate, his choice to like Volt Switch or go for an electric attack, and I could switch in my Jolteon and pivot so I could set up and stuff. So that's kind of where my thinking was. I think he was hoping to try a couple different things that he's already tried this season. And I think that's ultimately what caused the match to end in the way it did, is because he tried to do stuff that already were tried by him this season. So, David.
I mean, your team. If you look at your team right away, you've got that Volt Absorb that's going to cover 3 electric weaknesses, and that's really what happens turn 1 immediately. Um, so yeah, it was a pretty predictable start by him. A Gliscor switch, or not Gliscor, Gligar switch. He's run that pretty effectively, but um, it's just a hard Pokemon to run. And then the rest of the match, you've got a sub up, and that's it on that Gardevoir. Um, I mean, you had the Encore that really just Togekiss was done, but Togekiss was done anyway. I guess that helped you keep the sub, but that was really it. And I mean, honestly, at this point, he's got nothing that's going to wall Gardevoir. I think he thought that Echoed Voice would get the boost maybe, but since he went first, it's not going to happen.
Well, and to my
So
knowledge, Echoed Voice increases in damage
each
the
turn,
multiple
that's
times you
correct.
use it. Yeah, I would have, and maybe he didn't understand it like you're saying. I was thinking he should have gone for Volt Switch to break the sub so he could bring something in like, I don't know. At that point, I
Maybe,
think I don't really know, honestly. um,
maybe so, but his team was decimated.
yeah,
I mean, the only chance that he had was, I will say that if he could have kept Raichu back without Jolteon on your team, um, there was a pretty glaring electric weakness. But I mean, with that sub up with Gardevoir, I still don't see a way for him to get by that
yeah.
any other
I
way.
honestly thought I was in trouble. Once I was trying to predict him to switch because I didn't think he would just stick in when I have Skarmory, and I was also hoping I'd go for get a paralysis on whatever comes in. And since I figured the Raichu was choice scarfed, I didn't really care whether it got like a buff or not. So I don't know. I misplayed there. I should have just switched to Skarmory and played it safe, but I did end up getting the sub up on Gardevoir and just ripped through his team. If he had got a safe switching into X-Cloud, it would have done loads of damage because it did live one Hyper Voice.
That's
So
true. And Hyper Voice does go straight through a sub, so
it does, and
I
so
don't know
does
if he
Boom
had it.
Burst. So
Boom Burst is what I was thinking. I'm sorry. And
oh, okay.
I don't know if he had it spec'd or what, but I mean, if he had choice specs on there, I guess if he'd have let it revenge kill, you might have a shot to rip through you.
Yeah,
So
I agree. So, well, other than that, we'll go ahead and go on to the next match, which is the match between the Zubatman and the Haunted Honages. David?
So the first thing that I noticed, and the reason that I brought Hydreigon, is this team has been brought pretty much every week. Very few switches, and there's a glaring dark weakness to it. So I brought Choice Scarfed Hydreigon because there's also a lack of priority, and honestly, I just knew Hydreigon was going to rip through the team. So that was basically the whole strategy this week, was bring a couple of walls and Hippowdon and Chansey to slow them down, bring 3 other Pokemon to do a job, and then Hydreigon was there to finish the job as soon as I felt it was ready. So, I mean, I can tell you what I was thinking. That's about it.
All right. So, there's been a couple times this season where the Honages have tried. I feel like they've almost always started with Dragonite and tried to set up early, and I think that had he not let his multi-scale break and stuff, I wouldn't have started with Dragonite. I think Dragonite would do a lot more work if it had been able to set up in another scenario, because then it would have really scared out Hydreigon, because by the time, if he was able to time it right, he would have been able to get 2 Dragon Dances up by the time Hydreigon comes in, and then of course would have just destroyed everything, and you don't have anything that can eat up a +2 outrage from Dragonite. So I think
There are
if he
very
had played
things
that
that can.
right, he would have probably, like, there he could have gone for an outrage if he wanted to, or he could have gone for Dragon Dance and then something. But he also, I think he's gone for extreme speed in a lot of situations where it was just, I'm not really sure, like, it doesn't do as much as outrage or even some other moves. And yeah, it's priority, but he's used it in a lot of situations where the move was resisted or immune. So I'm not really sure if that was like the right situation for it. Um, did you have a timid nature on Hydreigon?
I did.
Okay, so it did outspeed the Alakazam.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, once Hydreigon came in and was able to clean up, it was pretty much over after that. But I feel like he still had, a giant hill to climb to beat you, but I think if he had played his Dragonite smarter, he would have had a chance.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely a mistake to start with a multi-scale sweeping Dragonite like that. That thing is such a weapon, and it's the reason that I started with Hippowdon. Like, I needed those rocks up desperately. I knew that if I didn't break that multi-scale, I was in some serious trouble. So one of the things that, like, I would encourage him to do is, he's got a great spinner and Excadrill. A great strategy for him would be to save that Dragonite and make sure that he spins away any rocks or anything like that, and then bring out Dragonite Lake and sweep.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
also,
a scary team. It
yeah,
honestly is. The darkness, like, he's got a dark weakness there that's pretty glaring. But I mean, there are some really scary Pokemon in there.
yeah,
So
and also I will add that, Hydreigon's probably the most perfect choice for, manipulating a dark weakness. So, that was just kind of like a bad matchup for him, unfortunately. Like, he couldn't do anything about that. But yeah, I think if he had tried to keep the rocks off the field, he that would have really helped. And then maybe if he had brought, see, this is something that I think about a lot of matches though, And it's kind of just a general comment as opposed to something that someone did wrong. But I don't see Focus Sash being run very often when I feel like it would be extremely beneficial. And I think part of that goes into the same thinking as bringing a rapid spinner or just trying to keep rocks off your side of the field. So that's just something for everybody to think about. When you're prepping it, if you think about a Pokemon that like you need to be able to take another Pokemon out, but you know that it one on one would get destroyed, then bring a Focus Sash so you can deal the damage you need to in return if you get brought down to that sash. It's really helpful. I mean, honestly, like I think it was in the monotypes I had brought Focus Sash Gengar as a counter, no pun intended, for the Mega Gyarados, and I don't remember if I ended up using it successfully or not, but I almost did. I know I used Counter one week and I used Destiny Bond another week, and they were both on Pokemon that had Focus Sash, but I think people need to consider that some as, same with like Custap Berry and some of the other berries. Custap Berry, for those who don't know, if you get down to, I think, 1/8 health, so like Pokemon with Sturdy or Pokemon with a Focus Sash are really good with it. If they get brought down to that much health, they get priority on their next move. And so you can
Can't
throw
really
off big
run
hits.
Custap and Focus Sash, though, together.
Yeah, yeah. I
It
mean,
really
it's
has to be a
usually on
30
Sturdy.
Pokemon.
I guess, sorry, I don't mean to say Focus Sash. Endure. A lot of Pokemon learn Endure. And if you run Custap on it and do that, because Endure has like max priority, so you like are guaranteed to live that hit. And if you know you're going down all the way down to that health, then just take the damage, wait for you to get down to that health, and then have that priority, and then you can take things out. I think I've won a few matches actually that way. So I just think it's something that people should consider when planning, is think outside the box.
Yeah, anti-sweeping is huge. And, you know, Focus Sash or Sturdy with the Custap Barrier, it's great ways to do it. But you're right. I mean, getting rid of like when you plan for a team, pretty much everybody's got one sweeper in mind where this guy's going to take care of things for me. And having a way to get around that is a great way to gain momentum in your match and throw your opponent off, leave them scrambling for answers. I definitely agree with that.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and go on to the next match, which is the match between the Minnesota Mucks and the Wiltshire Wobbuffets. I'm really glad that he brought Tauros this week. I don't really think it put in all that much work, but I'm glad that it was brought because it was something that was able to outspeed some important Pokemon that he otherwise wouldn't be able to. I also just Sheer Force Life Orb can put in the work as well, so that was cool. Other than that, Volcarona's scary. But Tentacruel completely walls that thing. So he needs to get rid of Tentacruel in order for Volcarona to work. And then Toxicroak's pretty good here, but Gliscor walls it. I think in a lot of ways it seems like the Wobbuffets have the better, they wall some important Pokemon on the Muck side. So it definitely seems like as far as answers go, the Wobbuffets have the necessary tools in order to win this match. But without knowing items and builds and stuff like that, that always isn't exactly true. But as far as typing goes and base stats goes, that I would say that the Wobbuffets probably have the better matchup here. David?
Just Tentacruel by itself takes 3 of his Pokemon out of the equation. So, cool start with the Hidden Power Ice. I mean, you gotta kind of see that coming at this point. Pretty much everybody.
Especially with Technician.
Oh yeah, exactly. So from there, I mean, I didn't really understand the glare there. You see Tentacruel walling. Now, I thought it was a big mistake for not yet. Here, for Roserade to poison.
Oh, yeah.
To poison Conch Elder because, I mean, that thing gets guts. I don't know if he was running guts or not.
I'm sure he was.
Yeah, I thought so too. And, man, as soon as you soon as you start running guts on that thing, you put a status on it, you just set yourself up for a world of hurt.
Uh-huh.
So, um, yeah,
Toxicroak came
the
in clutch, though.
the fake out was huge, and then you got the sucker punch, double priority. So that kind of saved it, at least for a little bit. Um, Mandibuzz is such a great physical wall.
Oh, I love it.
I
I
gotta give
love
it
it.
props. Um, I don't like it as a Pokemon just because I think it looks bad, but I mean
Rude.
it puts work. Well, maybe a little bit, but
Mandibuzz is awesome.
well, agree to disagree.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
return on uh, Barbaracle is an interesting choice. I wasn't, you know,
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean, I
really.
guess it was because Toxicroak has dry skin, maybe. I didn't think about that when I first
Yeah,
watched it, but maybe that's why.
that could be. That could be for sure. Um, yeah, as opposed to running like Razor Shell or something. Um, but with all that being said, I mean, you've got a really good match going here.
Yeah.
Both, I mean, both players are playing well. At that point, the Drain Punch from Toxicroak, I want to say you had to see it coming, but at the same time, you really were out of options. So I can't fault that play. The Sucker Punch, I thought that was a little bit misplayed,
Yeah, I
just because
agree.
you're going to outspeed anyway. Go for something stronger. Plus, you got
Yeah,
part
Gunk
dark type
Shot.
and yeah, you could have gone straight for Gunk Shot or even a Drain Punch. Um, yeah, so at this point, Volcarona is looking to set up on Mandibuzz, and you see this clutch Rocky helmet, which is
Now,
awesome.
that was really cool, but had the Rocky helmet not been on him, just for ifs, um, had that happened, he still would have been taken out by the fake out and, maybe a gunk shot or something the next turn.
Right.
So it still would have been over, but it was a very cool way to end it, to not have to
Yeah, it's
worry
just
about it.
fitting. It was just fitting. So
Yeah.
I can't. I, I thought that was a really cool ending to a match.
Yeah, it was a really good match
There.
overall. I feel like there obviously were misplays on both sides, but I think it was a really close, really intense match to watch. I think this is kind of like one of those um, season-defining matches in the sense that a lot of the matches this season, especially in the past like 5 weeks, have been all so close, and sometimes gone the way that people didn't think it would go. And I think this is one of those situations. Is the Mucks, they got second place last year, but I was honestly thinking the Wobbuffets would pull through in this matchup just because of team composition and everything, but didn't happen. Didn't happen, and that
Right.
makes it great.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you play the matches. And Toxicroak, you got to give it props, was clutch that whole match. So
Yeah, it
the
played
double
really
priority
well.
was, yeah, the double priority was a really cool setup for it.
Yeah, it was. It was good. All right, well, we'll go ahead and go on to the next match, which is between the Cincinnati Charizards and the Feladay. David?
Um, so just looking at the team composition, I mean, both teams are set up fairly well. Um, you don't look at it and see any glaring type weaknesses. At least I don't right away. Um, the issue comes in that if you look at Isaac's team or Fihas' team, um, you don't see a whole lot of physical bulk except for in Tyranitar, and it's not going to like Mega Gyarados much. So just right away, you can kind of see Mega Gyarados is, going to have a field day with this team if Isaac's not careful. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that was a setup from the beginning. Yeah, the lack of physical bulk, I think, is a glaring flaw right away. That's pretty much what I see.
Yeah, I'll add. I think Mega Gyarados, except for Sharpedo, which isn't bulky at all. I think it runs through this team, just because nothing resists it except for Sharpedo, and everything else except for Articuno is weak to one of Mega Gyarados' stab. And Articuno is not exactly the physical, the most bulky on the physical side either. So.
Exactly. Exactly. There's no answer. I don't see a good answer.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering why he didn't go for. I think I was understanding why he went for the first pursuit, but after he did that, I would have just gone for the sucker punch, because he could have taken a lot of damage there where he didn't need to. But you know, Isaac stayed in for whatever reason and lost his Victini, and then Mega Gyarados comes in. I wouldn't have switched it in. I would have just waited. I wouldn't have let it just take all that damage from a Stone Edge,
Hmm.
because at this point, it can't sweep where it probably would have had it
He
not
did.
taken that
He
Stone
didn't
Edge.
switch it in, did he?
I'm
No.
gonna,
Yeah, he brought it in after Skuntank died.
sorry, I'm gonna rewind it because I think I may have just looked at it wrong.
Yeah.
Stone Edge. Okay, so
Now
what did he
Gyarados.
do?
Yeah.
Did it outspeed? Oh, it outsped. That's weird.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The Aqua Tail was a strange play too.
I wonder if
Uh,
it was a choice scarf set, the T-Tar. Because that's the only
I
way it
bet
would have
it was.
outsped. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was a good, plan on Charizard's side then. But, at this point, Jirachi's going to try and do something. I figured it would have, like, Hidden Power Fire or something, but I guess it didn't. The switch in on the Sharpedo, though, was kind of weird. But,
I think
yeah,
he
Hidden
was
Power
trying to
Fire was good.
gyro. I think he
Uh,
was trying to predict gyro ball, but yeah, that's a really risky. Like it's a high risk, low reward switch.
yeah. And so the Encore was actually pretty good here. It ended up allowing... I wouldn't have switched into Latios. I would have switched into Zygarde, obviously, because Latios, both of its attacks are resisted by Jirachi. So, I don't know. That was a bit weird.
He's trying to power
Zygarde...
through it
What?
with the setup. He's trying to power through it with the setup, but you're right. Zygarde just outspeeds with Earthquake.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, and so he ends up losing to Latios because of it, too. And so that was just kind of wasted differential. I mean, had he gone into Zygarde and went for either a Coil or a Dragon Dance, he would have won with one Earthquake. So, and with the Encore, he had a free switch in. He didn't have to worry about anything.
Hmm.
So,
Without the damage calc, it might be tempting to maybe think that your Zygarde's going to get one shotted by Moonblast. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe maybe he was playing through his mind.
that's why everybody should use the damage calc during matches. But, yeah, I mean, it was a good match. Feladay played really well, but I do think that there were some bad decisions as far as switching in certain Pokemon and keeping certain Pokemon in on the Charizard's end. Letting Sharpedo go down, for example, was pretty rough because had he saved it and got a speed boost, he would have been able to sweep with Ice Fang. So,
Well, you say that as long as Ferrothorn was on the field, Ferrothorn didn't go down until after that.
yeah,
As long as Ferrothorn's on the field, you've got that really just destroys Sharpedo.
that's true. That's true. He would have had to get rid of it. But with Hidden Power Fire, which he should have gone for the first turn, which he's
Yep.
probably making a prediction, but had he gone for that the first turn, he wouldn't have had to switch out. He could have just let Jirachi go down, and then Sharpedo would have just probably swept at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably right.
So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and go on to the next match, which is our final match as well, and this is the match between the Alakazam Apparitions and the Charmeleonaires. So, again, the Alakazam Apparitions, I really like their team, but the one thing I will say is I still wish that they had hazard removal. I don't think they have any that they've drafted, and they didn't make any trades to get anything, so it's just something that's going to constantly, plague them until the end, is not being able to get rid of hazards when your two of your biggest sweepers are weak to rocks. But other than that, let's see. I like Azumarill here, but it gets completely walled by Venusaur, and the Cloyster also just runs through this team too, except for Heatran, I guess. But even Heatran doesn't want to take a +2 or +4, Rock Blast. But I think the Charmeleonaires have the better matchup here, honestly, just because of Venusaur and Cloyster. Just those two alone. So, I'll go ahead and start it. David?
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the team, the one thing that you've got going for you is that if you're Kukio here, you've got Reuniclus is really your answer for Venusaur, and that's about it. So I thought leading with it was a little risky. You're going to see the double head smash miss here, which, is what it is. And then Venusaur comes in, and man, there's just no good switch at this point. Heatran's already gone, so Sludge Bomb is free. And now Reuniclus,
yeah,
because he's already too far down, which he would have been a good answer, providing he brought like Psychic instead of Psyshock. At this point, you've got no answer. There's no way for him to really do anything to this Venusaur at this point because of Synthesis and Leech Seed. He's going to recover any damage that you do to him. I mean, even a crit at this point probably wouldn't save you. So
yeah, and I'll also say I said this in a couple weeks ago that I don't really think that Citrus Berry is the best choice on Weavile, but here, if he really wanted to, he should have brought the Citrus Berry Belly Drum set on Azumarill if he wanted to have a chance of winning, because he could have gone for like an Ice Punch or a knockoff and probably almost knocked it out in 2 turns. And yeah, it would have been, knockoff, and then he would have had to like take it out with something else, but he would have been able to at least get rid of the Venusaur. And that's the thing is, I think that this is the same team that's been brought each week, and had he been more inventive, I definitely see a number of ways in which he could have gotten around the Venusaur. I wouldn't, it's hard to prepare for all of this team because I still think that Charmeleonaires had an advantageous team more than just Venusaur, but I think that he definitely could have used multiple ways to answer this Venusaur. So.
Right. And Venusaur is a tough Pokemon to have an answer for. I think that, but there are answers. And Flying and Psychic are definitely 2 of them.
Yep.
So I don't know. I thought there were definitely ways to do it. Heatran isn't a bad answer for Venusaur. If you run it especially offensive.
Yeah, Heatran completely walls Venusaur. The only thing that it has against Venusaur is the fact that it can put Leech Seed on it and stuff, but it definitely can't do any damage to it offensively, so it forces, Venusaur to switch out eventually. So had he not let that go down either, that's just... He had plenty of answers for Venusaur. He just, unfortunately, did not bring the right sets, but also just let his answers go down way too early. So.
Right. It's, I think, a classic case of making sure that if you have a Pokemon that's going to answer somebody else's Pokemon, you've got to hold it back and use it to answer that Pokemon. You can't throw your important pieces out early, or you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I agree. So, other than that, that's it for this week. A lot of good matches. Some matches were more straightforward than others, but I think all of them were pretty educational as far as talking about them. They all were pretty interesting, and the 2 matches that were close were actually matches I wasn't expecting to go the way they did. So, other than that, looking forward to the last week of matches next week, and then the tournament after that. So we'll see how things turn out. Next week when we do the recap, we'll look at where everybody's standing and see if maybe we can determine who will be where and who will qualify. But there's a couple close races for that stuff right now, so we shall see how it goes. But other than that, can't think if there's anything else. So anyways, I will see you all next week. Thanks for joining me, David.
No problem. Later, people.
I will see you all later. Thanks for watching, guys. If y'all enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and if you want, subscribe for more videos. Hope to see y'all in the future, and thank you for watching.